Epicurus was born in 341 BC in Samos, an island colony of Athens in the Mediterranean Sea. Since his father was a school teacher, Epicurus received a proper, traditional Greek education in rhetoric, poetry, and music. As a child, Epicurus became interested in philosophy and began studying different theories. The ideas of Democritus particularly inspired him. Democritus had developed a theory of atoms, tiny, indivisible particles of matter, and Epicurus saw in this a way out of superstitious beliefs in gods, spirits, and fate. At 18, he went to Athens for his 2 years of military service. Visiting Athens, a city renowned worldwide as the cradle of philosophy, greatly influenced the young Epicurus. When he was about 20 years old, he moved to Colophon, a city in modern-day Turkey, to join his family who had been exiled from Samos. During this period, Epicurus traveled, studied, and developed his unique philosophical views. At the age of 32, Epicurus embarked on his teaching career first at Mytilene and subsequently at Lampsacus. His theories on atoms, however, caused so much controversy that he was forced to flee. As a result, Epicurus sought refuge in Athens, hoping to find more tolerance for his unconventional ideas. At the time, Athens was the vibrant center of the philosophical world, making it a natural choice for a man such as Epicurus. However, as a foreigner, Epicurus found life in Athens challenging. The Athenians had become weary of philosophers who came from all over the world to question their religion and insult their gods. They made a law that only proper Athenian citizens could teach philosophy in Athens. Foreigners like Epicurus were allowed to work, but expected to keep their opinions to themselves in public places. To tackle this challenge, Epicurus bought a small property just outside of Athens, where he established his school. It was named simply the Garden. The garden served as a testing ground for his central philosophical query, how to be happy. In truth, Epicurus introduced more than just a school or a community to Athens. He brought an entire way of life. When people heard that Epicurus had established a school focused on the pursuit of happiness, the rumors started flying, and he became the talk of the town. One critic claimed the school hosted grand parties and had nightly sexcapades. Another spoke about Epicurus having 18 orgasms in a single night in a bed full of virgins. Of course, they were just lies. In fact, these and other rumors were started by the Stoics, who were a rival school of philosophy to the Epicureans, and it's because of such gossip that we still sometimes use the adjective Epicurean to describe luxury and decadence. Epicurus was focused on happiness and pleasure. Yes, he was a hedonist, meaning he believed that what is pleasurable is morally good and what is painful is morally evil. But if anything, he was an ascetic who thought that pleasures and good food have a negative effect on happiness. For the most part, his basic food consisted of bread, olives, and a slice of cheese now and then. As for clothing, he only owns 2 cloaks. So, what was Epicurus's answer to his question on how to be happy? Epicurus believed that pleasure is simply the absence of pain. If we can reach a state of mind where all pain is absent, then we call this state happiness. What are the sources of pain? Let's examine these 5 elements Epicurus identified that contribute to our unhappiness. 1. Expectations. At the basis of Epicureanism lies a trick. Epicurus suggests that instead of having high expectations and then having them shattered by unforeseen circumstances, you should lower your expectations so that most of what can happen will be better than what you expect. High expectations often set the stage for disappointment. For example, imagine a flawless Sunday, an ideal birthday, or a perfect Christmas, and you have probably ruined your Sunday, your birthday, and your Christmas. 2. Bad luck. Epicurus writes, "The misfortune of the wise is better than the prosperity of the fool." For Epicurus, being wise means being in control of one's desires and the ability to lead a rational and measured life. In such a life, misfortune has little meaning, because the happiness of a wise person does not depend on good fortune or luck. Even catastrophic events would not affect a person who does not depend on worldly material to be happy. On the other hand, a prosperous fool is still a fool. They will always want more, and they will always be unhappy about their present situation. 3. Fear of death. Epicurus emphasizes that, in a world that works according to physical laws, nobody ought to be afraid of either the gods or one's own death. He writes, "Death does not concern us, because as long as we exist, death is not here, and when it does come, we no longer exist." Is this argument convincing enough? In an atomistic universe like Epicurus sees the world, death would be nothing but the dissolution of the body into individual atoms that would go on to form new things. Consciousness would cease with death. Therefore, we wouldn't be able to perceive our own death, and there would be no afterlife to experience. 4. Relationships. People are just as obsessed with romantic relationships now as they were back in the olden days. However, Epicurus observed that love and happiness seldom coexist. He also strongly believed that marriage was not essential for achieving happiness, and declared it was better to be joyously single or divorced than to be unhappily married. Epicurus advocated that true happiness could only be obtained through friendship, stating, "Of all the means which are procured by wisdom to ensure happiness throughout the whole of life, by far the most important is the acquisition of friends." 5. Material possessions. Epicurus made the point that we don't need an excessive amount of material things or technology to be happy. He believed that instead of accumulating wealth, one should try to live a simple life and find joy in things like friends, the pleasures of work, and philosophy. Indeed, Epicurus and his disciples practiced this philosophy every day in the garden. They lived simple and frugal lives. They engaged in intellectual conversations, meditated, and sought to create a community based on friendship and mutual support. And unlike other Athenian philosophy schools, the garden was open to women and slaves. Epicurus had no heirs or sons as he never married in his life. He was 72 at the time of his death. Epicurus' ideas on the pursuit of happiness and the significance of intellectual pleasures greatly influenced thinkers such as John Stuart Mill and Thomas Jefferson. Karl Marx wrote his PhD thesis on Epicurus, and one could argue that what we know as communism is a scaled-up, corrupted version of Epicurean societies. Epicurus's materialist views have influenced modern scientists and thinkers. Even today, his teachings inspire us to pursue happiness through simplicity, intellectual endeavors, and friendship.